Hello everybody, this is Jerry Mateo with the Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at SPL's brand new machine head. This is a one-to-one emulation of the original machine head hardware unit, which was actually a digital emulation of a tape machine. So back in the day when we first started transitioning into computers, there was a big need to kind of add some color. We weren't using analog consoles as much, we were using digital. Well, SPL created a hardware unit, which is a digital hardware unit, and they created the first emulation of a tape machine. Now, it originally looked like this, and it has very simple controls. You have input, drive, high frequency amount, and output control. You have control for the speed of the tape, 15 or 30 IPS, which is basically inches per second. And what that means is 15 is going to have less headroom, more low end, and less high frequency content. While 30 is going to have more headroom because it's spinning faster, it's also going to be more linear. There's not going to be as much deviation, so you're not going to get this extended bloom on the low end, but instead you get a very uniform, almost flat response. It still rounds things off on the very top end and the very low end, but it is a lot more linear, meaning that it's more accurate. You also get different types of saturation this way. You get darker, grittier, more distorted tones out of 15 inches per second than you do 30. SPL has also given us 4 presets, and then you have your activate, deactivate, and a power switch that actually works. Now, there was some limitations back in the day. SPL's unit only went up to 48 kilohertz and kind of had this narrow stereo image. And that's because of the conversion chips and everything that was available back then. So they actually recreated it because this is literally just code. It's a piece of hardware that only uses code. And if I remember correctly, it uses digital ins and outs. So it's a one-to-one clone. And so what they did, they gave us the ultimate version. This has more headroom because it's supposed to be able to have more modern specs. And you now have 2 separate high and low adjust controls. Now, what this does is this adjusts how the high frequencies and the low frequencies are going to be hit by the saturation and the tape machine, and basically give you more crunch or more distortion on the lower high end. And then you can bring this back down by -6 to kind of alleviate some of that crunch. Your input gain is still the same, +12, -12. Your drive is the same, -7, +14. You have 30 and 15 IPS. And then you have your output gain, which is now moved to right here, which gives you plus and -12 dBs. The original has a very different sound. When you click between them, if you grab a demo, you have a 14-day free demo, this sounds completely different. You hear that it kind of comes from this to this, and not only from this to this, it also has a more dynamic feel. I am going to also add that there was a lot of controversy last year. Metric Halo partnered up with another company to create a emulation of this, but they did not get permission. So SPL was very, very adamant that this is not a true emulation. Whereas this machine head is actually made by SPL, and they just ported the exact code in and then updated it to sound better. It's kind of a funny little thing, but it is something to note. The other plugin, which I do have, so I will do a second video where we will take a look at that later, didn't have a working power button. It's not a big deal, but it's funny. So let's go ahead and take a look. So in this session, I'm actually not using any of this from this session. I just have Superior Drummer 3 in this, and we're going to be using the Fields of Rock dry kit. I believe we're just using the default kit when in Chrome. Right? Good sounding kit. And I'm going to be using a groove from the Rooms of Hansa, and we're just going to take a listen. Right? Good kit. It's dynamic. It sounds great. It's very natural sounding because the music from back then was going to sound a lot more natural. So we can see what type of crunch we can get out of this thing, right? So here we go. We're going to hit play, move this to my other screen, probably to my third screen, and then we're going to mess with Machine Head. Then I'm going to compare this to my favorite tape emulation when I want something for mastering. And that is going to be the UAD Ampex ATR 102. I'm going to be using the native version because not everyone has access to the DSP version. And as you see right here, the DSP version kind of is annoying when you have a 4K screen mixed in with a 1080p screen. It really wigs out a lot. And because of that, I tend to only use this when I'm tracking. You do have more options though, because you can hide and show the center section, which is non-existent. But this is where you can get the most coloration and control using this plugin. So if you have a UAD hardware unit, get the plugin that's DSP based for when you're tracking. Other than that, this thing is usually on sale for like 29 bucks. Okay, so let's check out the machine head. We're gonna grab a fresh instance. I did buy this, by the way. And let's take a listen. Right away, I'm hearing some type of change, and I don't know what it is. I'm feeling like it's definitely doing something, so I'm going to actually do something I normally don't do. I'm going to grab an instance of Plugin Doctor, and we're going to see what's going on here. So we see the response. Let's go to Ultimate. It's doing a pretty big gain boost, actually, right? A 9 dB, almost a 1 dB gain boost, I believe. Yeah. Almost a 1 dB gain boost. The frequency response is also very different. You can see how this is just very smoothly increasing the high end, whereas this kind of has this very interesting slope. I've never seen this slope. Let's look at the saturation. This has one little bit of harmonic. If we increase the input gain, we can see that it increases it and seems to change the frequency response a little bit. No. Doesn't change the frequency response, but it does kind of increase the amount of harmonic we get. Okay, what happens if we do that with the drive? Looks the same, but is slightly different. And there's obviously less noise or aliasing going on in the new version. We also have the high frequency boost right here. So this is going to boost the high frequencies and cut them. The low frequency is doing a bell at about 50 hertz. The original, let's do a boost. Let's do a boost. So it's a pretty similar shape. It just has that weird little thing going on with it. Overall, pretty cool. Let's take a listen to this thing. So for me, I'm hearing the low frequencies seem to sustain a little bit more at 15 inches per second, where at 30, they're just kind of crunching. You're also getting a different type of crunch. Let's try the Ultimate because that does seem to have a slightly different saturation. Okay, Ultimate sounds a lot different, like a lot different. There's more dynamics going on. That's probably why it has a higher output volume, but I'm definitely hearing like 15 inches per second. Listen to the kick drum and the snare. When they hit, the kick drum has this like boom, and it sustains. When at 30 inches per second, it goes like boom, boom, boom. It's really cool. Check it out. Listen for that. Yeah, there seems to be a lot more crunch. Let's dial in the high and low frequency adjust. Okay, so I'm hearing a massive, massive difference. Ultimate is definitely adding some intensity. When the kick drum and the snare drum hit, the kick drum is a little bit more papery at 30 IPS, but the kick drum is just blooming at 15 IPS. The snare drum, it just has this thwack. It has more power than it did before. Whereas original, it sounds crunchy and it sounds nice and thicker, but it sounds softer. It doesn't have the ability to retain impact when it's doing some type of saturation. Listen to this one more time. Listen to the snare when I switch between them and listen to the impact of them. I like this thing. I like this thing, and it's on sale for like $69. Nice. That's a nice number. I like SPL's kind of taunting attitude with this thing. They made a very big deal that this is the only one-to-one emulation of their hardware unit, which is all code, right? Obviously throwing some shade at the other company. I am going to be doing a video taking a look at the Metric Halo one and the SPL one. The SPL one is the only official one, but I'm also going to be throwing in other plugins that I really like as tape plugins. In this case, though, let's compare this to the UAD Ampex one because the native one is a lot more stripped down. It's not as fun, and I feel like the Machine Head almost has as much options because this is dumbed down. So here's the UAD one. So right away, you can hear that UAD is distorting more on the low end at 15 and 3.75 IPS per second. And that is because, like I said, it boosts the low end. So it's hitting clipping faster. I also like that the UAD automatically has gain compensation. SPL, please have a little button here that lets you link the input and output gain. It makes it like 30% better. All Kive Audio plugins do it, and because of that, everyone's using Kive Audio. Plugin Alliance even has a couple of Kive Audio plugins on their list. I own them, and their tape saturation does this. They gain compensate, and it's a must for stuff like this. It's not a big deal, though, because saturation kind of crunches things up, but let's keep going. I like this thing. I have a very grandfathered subscription to their Forever 29, and this cost me $1. And I would buy it at $69. I mean, technically it cost me $30, but this is nice. Grab a demo. I'll leave a link down below. It's a 14-day demo. And I'll also leave a link to the UAD one too. I own almost all the UAD plugins because I own 3 Apollos. So I really like those plugins, but this is so light on CPU and it sounds so good. I really like this. SPL can throw all the shade they want. They can have their little mini drama all they want. SPL in general is such a good company. I mean, I look at all the stuff that I own from SPL that they make, right? Their de-essers are very good. Their Deverb, don't really use it. Drum Exchanger, don't use it. Iron is amazing. Their transient designer is pretty good. I really like it. Their big is amazing. Their EQ Ranger, super old, amazing. SPL PQ, really good. Their Vitalizer, old, amazing. Their, SPL just makes amazing stuff. So I'll leave a link down below. I had a lot of fun making this video. I hope you can tell because this is a very exciting plugin to me. I like the drama, to be honest. I like the drama, but I like when I see a plugin company getting a little fire in them. SPL's doing some pretty good stuff. They make amazing plugins. So does Elysia, Elysia. So does almost all the brands on Plugin Alliance. But they really made me happy. I would spend $69 on this plugin. No question. Anyway, I'll leave a link down below. I'll see you guys later.